Hey, if you're looking to massively scale your income and your revenue, building an agency is the way to do it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan and I help agency owners land clients and scale their businesses to 5 figures a month. Transitioning from freelancer to agency owner was one of the best decisions I ever could have made because as a freelancer, my income had plateaued and I was interested in making a lot more money. If you can relate to that, give this video a like. One of the biggest lessons I learned in this transition is that you have to work smart, not just hard. Strategy is key, so let's talk about how you can do that. Step number 1, you have to get specific with your services. Here's one lesson I learned the hard way so that you don't have to. You're welcome. Stop trying to be everything to everybody. You can't. You won't. You will be miserable and you will hate your life. Let me tell you what not to do, and then I'll tell you what you should do. When I first started my agency, I was telling everybody that I was a full-service digital marketing agency. Aw, that's cute, but no. I was one person saying that I was offering social media and email marketing and blogging and reputation management. What does that even mean? I don't know, but I was offering it. So then I iterated on this, and because my background is as a writer, I started telling my clients, okay, we only create content. But that was still too broad, and it turned into blogs, email copy, social media posts, paid ad copy, product descriptions, video scripts, everything. Because I was still too unclear about what we were offering, I put my agency in a place where we were catering to every individual client. And basically, my clients were treating me like an employee because I was giving them whatever they wanted. This does not work. So I went back to the drawing board again, and now we have a much clearer idea of what we do. We write blog content. That is it. That's our expertise, blogs. I know you might have this fear, and it's very understandable, of, well, if I limit my services, I'm going to be leaving so much money on the table. And I get why you're saying that, but I promise you that if you try to be too many things to too many clients, you are 100% without a doubt going to stunt your growth and you're going to be really unhappy. You need to build an agency that thrives on systems and processes, and if you are catering to every single client, it's not going to happen. So that was step 1, get specific. Step number 2 is set your rates. Now I've talked about value-based pricing before, so we're going to revisit that. When we say value-based, we mean that you are basing your rates largely on the expertise that you bring to the table, not just the time that you spend. Let's say that you're building a social media agency and you have a client who wants you to manage their Instagram account. And on this Instagram account, you're going to post, let's say, 3 times a week, and each post takes you about 5 minutes. So we're talking about 15 minutes a week, so roughly 1 hour a month. This is obviously hypothetical. I have a point, stick with me. Are you going to charge that client for 1 hour of work? No. And that's because you are not just a machine churning out Instagram posts. You're also providing strategy and expertise. As a social media agency, you know best what's going to work on Instagram, or you should anyway. You are charging for that in addition to your time. Time isn't free, time is never free, but your rates should not be based on that alone. Step number 3, start sourcing leads. Once you are really clear on what you're going to offer and what you're going to charge for it, you need to start tracking down potential clients that you would like to work with. There are all sorts of ways to source leads online. If you feel like you've run out, I can promise you, you just don't know where to look. If you need help with this, I do have a guide that will teach you multiple ways to source leads, so I will drop that link in the description below. When you're sourcing leads, I want you to ask yourself 2 questions. Number 1 is, does it look like they could benefit from my services? And number 2 is, does it look like they have the budget to afford to hire my agency? Those are the 2 requirements that they need to meet in order for you to consider them a qualified lead. When it comes to how many leads you should be sourcing, always source more than you need. And the reason for this is because as you're reaching out to these people, some of them will ignore you, some of them are going to reject you. That's okay, that's totally normal. But this just means that if you are looking to bring on 5 new clients, you should not source 5 leads and then be like, okay, I'm done. It's not enough. All right, let's keep going. Step number 4 is to start reaching out to your leads. If you've watched any of my videos before, then you know that I'm a huge fan of cold emailing. That was how I first started my business, so I absolutely believe in it. It can work, but personally, for me, I got tired of how much of a numbers game it is. So I set out to refine this process, and what I work with now ultimately means that I'm spending a little more time qualifying my leads, but I reach out to far fewer and still have a really good closing rate. I'm focusing more on quality over quantity. And that's the process that I follow now, that's the process that my students follow, and it works like a charm. The biggest thing you need to remember about this is that when you are reaching out to leads, you need to connect with someone who works in the department that you would work in. For instance, because I own a content agency, I will always connect with someone who has a title like SEO manager or director of content or something along those lines. When you do this, as opposed to cold emailing a generic info at or help at email address, what you're doing is you are starting a conversation with someone who understands and appreciates your services. They're going to be the people who can best determine whether or not they need you. The editor of a company's blog is going to care a lot more about my services than, for example, a customer support rep. You will eventually connect with the right person, that is who your conversation is going to be with, and then you can move on to the next step, which is step number 5, send your proposal. This does not need to be anything fancy. In fact, it shouldn't be. Don't ambush the lead with too much information. One of the most common mistakes I see agency owners make is that they send a 3-page proposal where they are going into painstaking detail. They think that making it look complex and complicated works in their favor, but it's actually the opposite. Your proposal will very likely be 1 page, and you only really need to tell them 2 things: what you're offering and what you're charging for it. And when you send that proposal, just make sure you gently remind them that you are more than happy to discuss it more, or if they have any questions, you're happy to answer them. So by doing that, you're reassuring them that the line of communication is open. I've got landing clients down to a science, and I can tell you, after doing this for years now, that it really just comes down to having the right process, okay? You don't need to be running paid ads. You don't need to be buying email lists. In fact, you shouldn't be doing this. If you're not sure why, go check out this video. I'll explain it in more detail. None of this relies on luck. None of it relies on going viral. It's just having the right process. And once you have those steps all lined up in the right order, your agency will start making $10,000 a month, $15,000, $20,000 a month, like mine. If you want to join a community of like-minded entrepreneurs and scale your agency to the next level, then you might be a great fit for my private program, Revenue Spark. I will teach you my entire process from start to finish for landing high-quality, high-paying clients. We have a really cool private Facebook community where you can connect with all the other students in the program, and then you have my support every step of the way. If you want to learn more, which you should, I've dropped the link below. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you made it this far, please support my channel by giving this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe